Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino, and we have a terrific guest today. We have Austin Linney from Construct Your Life podcast. What's going on, Austin?
Doing good, Aaron. How you doing, bud?
I'm just fine today. It's sure is hot down here in Texas. How is it in Arizona?
Way hotter. This is the hottest July that Arizona's ever had in the history of Arizona.
Really?
So, yeah. So it was 119, I think, on Friday last week. It was the hottest day they've had since 1930. So
Wow.
yeah, it's hot. That's all right. That's what California and Tahoe are for. So
There you go.
It's like 50 degrees there. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. Thanks.
Absolutely. I've really been looking forward to this interview. I see you on your Facebook story. You're out and about. You're going to different places. You're scoping different places out, and just want to know what's going on with Austin.
Yeah, man. Part of the podcast, part of the transition. We're actually leaving tomorrow for 3 to 5 months. I don't really know how long. Going to buy a little trailer and kind of just travel around, meet investors, do business on the road. What I'm trying to get across to everybody is that you don't have a job. You build a lifestyle around your job, right? And so where we are in technology and where we are in today's society is that you can invest anywhere that you want to. And you don't have to invest where you live. That's what planes are for. That's what business partners are for. And so what I'm trying to get across to everybody is regardless of how much money you need in per month, that can be created, but you can also enjoy your life too. I don't think we need to wait till 65 to go see all the things that we want to go see, because by then maybe your knee doesn't work, maybe you can't walk properly. And you're starting to see, especially with the pandemic, you're starting to see bigger investors sell everything that they own and put their family in an RV and travel around the United States for the next year. And it's not only a thing, it's starting to become, a lifestyle trend is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. But you kind of have, on the other foot, you kind of have people, someone has a boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, they have a mortgage, they have commitments. How did they kind of subscribe to this new mindset?
I think one of the best ways I've heard about it is 4-Hour Work Week, when Tim Ferriss was talking about mini retirements. And what he was saying is, like, you can section out, maybe you have a mortgage, maybe you have a wife and kids, but you can take a week to 2 week vacation, every 3 months, right? And you're just basically recharging. They did the math, and I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but they said that on the 10th day of vacation, or like the 9th or 8th, was when you finally actually wind down, right? And so, but more importantly, I've learned that about myself. I am a 3-day to 2-night, or I am a 10-day guy. There's no in between. If I'm on the 4th day or 5th day, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get home. I'm already done, because my mind's ready to get back. But when I force myself to take that extra time, I tend to really come back refreshed and ready to attack the next thing. So it really is about what fits your lifestyle. But all I'm saying is that bucket list items are just bucket list items. So until you actually schedule them, until you put them down, until you force yourself to do these things that you've always wanted to do, you might not do them. And then, tomorrow's not promised. So it's super important to me that I think that you dip into the things that truly make you happy.
Yeah, it is interesting because we've had guys like Tim Ferriss. He wrote the 4-Hour Work Week a while back, but it's almost like everything going on with the economy, a lot of the changes we're seeing in the workplace, it's kind of been the hit upside the head for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Somebody made a great point to me, and it's very something that people need to focus on, is that everything that is being brought into this world because of the pandemic right now, meaning technology and things that are changing, Zoom, so on, and businesses or employees are maybe removing themselves from the office. He said all these things were 10 years away. It's not like they weren't going to happen. They just happen now. And so I think what everybody's seeing is that they don't need everything they thought they needed, first of all. The second of all is business is changing. And if you don't have to physically be in your office, why pay a mortgage that is $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 when you can go live somewhere for $1,000 to $1,500 and save half of your rent, right? And I think that's what you're going to see right now. And I think you're seeing that because people are moving out of San Francisco, they're moving out of LA, and they're picking, maybe more rural towns. Joe Rogan just announced that he's moving his entire podcast to Texas, his entire company. And so people are over it. They're like, I'm not going to pay these prices. There's too many people here. And so I really hope that everybody's taking this as a wake-up call to realize that you need to make sure that you're not over-leveraged and that you're comfortable in where you are. You're not putting that extra pressure against your throat.
Yeah, you made a great point using the word over-leveraged. How would you explain maybe someone who's
So you look at, and I'll placate this to a builder, because me and you both work in private equity for builders. David Weekley does not have a choice but to build homes. Like, does anybody understand that? Because they are bought so much property, they have so much outlaid out on the price. Let's say that you're making a good profit, right? Let's say you're making, I'll just give a base number, 10K a property. In order to supercharge your profit to 15K per house, the strain on your business and your psyche may be too much. So understand that extra dollars that you're making better be worth it. And so what I'm trying to get across to everybody is, when you're over leveraged, meaning you bought a house you can't afford, you bought a car you can't afford, you don't have an option but to work 90 hours a week. But if you scale back and you maybe live in a little smaller home, or you cut your bills in half, or you pay off some things cash, you're allowing yourself the freedom to take a Friday off, or to take an extra trip with your kids. And you're allowing yourself the freedom to make choices instead of the choices being made for you. And that's the difference.
Absolutely. It kind of seems like you're almost fighting against, you're kind of fighting a cultural battle, everyone being told, you're kind of conditioned to, being in front of a school teacher, being instructed, going to college, being instructed, joining the workforce, being instructed. How do you kind of break that down into this?
I think that the most important thing that you can do is be self-aware. I think when you're self-aware of who you are and what you need, then you can tap into what makes you happy. When I talk to my coaching clients, a lot of people play the scorecard game, meaning, I didn't make my 600 cold calls today. I didn't do a good job. Well, no. What I had my client do, and this is super important, especially to all you real estate investors. I read a book on NLP, Creating Sales. It was a game changer book. And he said that they ran the math that 80% of your sales come from your top 10 clients, right? So instead of making 600 cold calls, I had him write a list down of those 20 most high-end clients that do deals with. And I had him reach out to him and ask if they had anybody that wanted to do deals. So instead of making 600 cold calls, that's what he did. He closed 5 deals in 3 weeks. And guess what? He had time to hang out with his wife. He had time to walk his dog. But it was that shift to focusing on the people that are actually doing deals and tapping into that market. Because I think, and I don't want to misspeak for Streamline, so I won't, okay? But I think we ran the numbers last year, and I want to say that 68% of our business came from referrals. They're half closed if they're a referral. So focus on your network, because I guarantee you have some guys that you did some deals with, and then you're using your time at the optimized level more efficiently. And that's what we're looking to do, because everybody has the same amount of time in a day. Because I would say that I connect on a daily basis with 20 to 40 people a day. And it may be just a simple text, but I know, and then I kind of cycle through it. It's been 3 weeks, let me touch base with this guy. And some of these relationships are 3 to 4 years in the makings, but you never know. But you also want to focus your time on the people that are doing deals and can move the needle forward for your business. And it's basically about taking the 24 hours and saying, how can Aaron optimize these 8 hours of business and make sure that his time is being used efficiently? And by doing that, you're creating abundance in your life too. And I don't mean to hit too many topics, but to get back to your part about over leveraging. When you're over leveraged, you're living in scarcity. You're living in survival mode. You cannot create from survival mode. It doesn't exist. You're just trying to get to the next task the next day. when you choose your time wisely and you use it efficiently, you're choosing abundance. And by choosing abundance, you're allowing the universe to offer up gifts to you in the cornucopia. And you're choosing to operate, and you're choosing yourself, more importantly, that your time matters. And that's super important.
Absolutely. You know, especially with so many distractions that people have, you know, you have the phone, the computer. It's easy to roll out of bed, you hit snooze, you check your Facebook first thing in the morning, you know, you turn on the coffee pot, then you check your email, you're getting bombarded by emails, and before you know it, the day's over.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I was reading a book. I was reading a book, and he says that all the people waste like all their time at the water cooler are like talking to their employees because, you know, they're just chatting or something. And he was like, oh yeah, it's like 40-50% of the day, and they wake up and they haven't done anything. But one of the books, I tell you right now, if you're not into God, it might be a little much, but he's a preacher, and it just so happens this is the topic he talks about. But I recommend this book to everybody. It was a game changer for me. I think it's one of the most important books that exist out there. It's called the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And he says that his family there has a Sabbath day, and so at Friday night at 6 o'clock, they put all their iPads and phones in their drawer and they lock it. And for 24 hours, they wake up when they want to. They go have a day in the park. They spend time with each other. They cook. And he's basically saying, like, guess what? When God made earth, wind, fire, nature, he didn't say on the seventh day, I worked again. he rested.
Yeah.
And people think that by grinding and putting in the hours, and of course, I work harder than anybody else, but my time is used intentionally. But I've also got to a point where I've had to teach myself to back off and understand that time is generated to instill the hunger, right? The fight that I want back in the next week, right? And there's time to turn it on and there's time to turn it off. I think as people, I think there's seasons in life, right? And I think that by understanding what season you're in, meaning it's go time, it's not go time. You know, for me, the pandemic, you know, I got laid off, and I read 40 books in like 40 days. And I taught myself a little bit of Spanish. Like, you know, your time is what you view it to do. And that's what I wanted to do. And then I was kind of like over reading books. So then we start networking with people. But when you wake up in the morning, right? And I tell everybody this, I can tell you how your day's going to go by looking at your schedule. I'll tell you exactly what is going to go down if you let me look at your schedule. Like, if your schedule's not lined out and you're not creating space in the day for creativity or for time with your kids or everything, like, you're not going to be operating in the best version of yourself. And I think that's what the main message is that you as somebody, regardless of what you're doing, you have to be centered in you. And what you're talking about happens on a daily basis. The moment you get up, I'm on Facebook, I'm on this, and you're basically saying that your time's not important. You're saying that somebody else's comment is way more important, right? And so you're not giving yourself that space to kind of like work your way into the day. And then your mind starts going, you know, where we go, notifications, all that stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has their tricks. You know, they delete the app, they hide it, you know, and everything. So, you know, you can do whatever you want, but I just think that if this thing's taught us anything, is what I've seen, right? Life's a choice. I've seen families barbecuing, riding bikes with their kids out at the park. I've never seen this many people outdoors in my life. I mean, it's like, did it take a pandemic? There's still Netflix. I guess they watched all the shows, but I have never seen so many people. Am I the only one? Right? I mean, I've never seen this many people outside. Yeah, it's crazy. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, especially what's been, I don't know if you're a sports fan, but what's been going on in the sports world. They're talking about, you know, altering, you know, the time of year the season will be, shortening the season, which, if anything, you know, kind of how you're talking about the seventh day, having that time to decompress and kind of reevaluate everything and then get at it the next week. It's almost like having that is kind of assisting us and having that time to move forward.
No, and I want to, and I'm transitioning your own podcast, but I want to make sure that people get the most value out of this. And I want to talk about what you do for a living, because I was just talking about this yesterday with somebody on another podcast. I think that understanding, and this is all to the investors, I think understanding how money works is the secret skill in investing. I really do, because money is a motivator mover, right? And when you understand how lending works, you understand how you can get loans, properly leverage out to get a project done. I think that you can supercharge your business with actually covering your backside as well. You know what I'm saying? You get what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? Yeah. I just think it's one of those things that changed my whole life. I really do. Like, because I was an investor, but I didn't really understand how money operated. And it wasn't until I dug into, this costs this, and this is this, and then how this works, and then how building gets done. Because I myself am about to start building some fourplexes. And it's because of understanding how to get money, how this works, how to leverage it out, is we can do this with the inventory that's non-existent right now, which I think is the writing's on the wall. I mean, guys, if you want to, there has never been a better time to build. There's never. Houses right now in Arizona and San Antonio, because I follow that market, are selling within the hour to 2 hours. Like, there's nothing on the market. So you might as well build.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it'll be that way for the foreseeable future. It's going to be that way for a while.
For sure. But, it's one of those things where why I like building? I'm a weird guy. I do not want to go buy a house that 20 people are putting an offer on. I don't want to do it. And when I bought lots in Canyon Lake, I bought a lot that was on the market for 3 years. There's nobody coming for that. And I just be like, I'll take it for 10 grand less. Okay, perfect. Well, you can take it. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then you control the process from start to finish, right? But now, granted, you need a good builder. But I'm just saying, I just found it a lot more enjoyable, is what I'm saying, than trying to buy, we got 30 offers on a flip. Let's try to get there. That's really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention that you're also having to deal with potential issues that the property would have. Whereas if you're starting from the dirt, that's it.
No, for sure. I love it.
Yeah, no, it is pretty neat. The future for not only Texas, but also other states. There's even Florida, there's Arizona, just a lot of states that, don't have much inventory, but a lot of demand.
No, for sure. And I think that we as investors, like what I always do, and it's just me, and I'm just speaking for myself. What I do is I try to think 5 years in advance. I'm not trying to, there's money to be made now. Don't get me wrong. But I always try to think where's the next thing going? Where are we going here? And maybe it's because I worked in hospitality and hotels for 20 years that I am a little more up on the trends or restaurants or developments or something like that. And I have a lot of friends that are developers, but I find that data to be so interesting because there's so much behind that, right? I always laugh because my buddy's like Rain Man with this stuff. He runs $1 billion development company. You listen to him, you're like, I don't even understand how you remember all this stuff. But they did the math, right? They did 2 years of data search, and they found out that the average price per couple spending average in America is 25 grand, 26 grand for food and beverage per year, right? But in New Braunfels, it was 46 grand.
Huh.
What? But wait, there was no economic data to back it up. So they had to go farther. They couldn't find it for anything. They couldn't understand why. Well, then they started seeing that Merrill Lynch's, TD Waterhouses, and all these things were opening up. And they dig a little deeper. And here's what they found out. That a large portion of the population in that area in Canyon Lake were retired hedge fund guys. So guess what? They don't report any income because they already have it. It's already in the stock market or whatever. So boom, there you go. So if you're a restaurant, if you're a development, if you're any of these things, that's the data that you need that shows you that area is going to continue to grow. And these are the businesses that you can attach to that area that are going to prosper and go. Like this is the stuff that you have to get down. You have to understand the nuts and bolts of why you can't just buy a house on a corner and go, I think somebody's going to buy it. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. You know, especially if you're doing these bigger developments, right? And you have to understand that also society as a whole is moving to smaller places. So if you want to build 1,000 square foot condos, I think they're going to sell in like 2.5 seconds because maybe they can have 3 houses instead of 1, right? Because I grew up in a big house, right? And I didn't like it, like a big one, like on the golf course next to NBA players. And me personally, I want like a 1,200 to 1,800 square foot house. Like because I travel, so I don't need that big house. And so you just have to follow those trends. You have to see between the lines. You have to pull back the curtains and understand where they're going. And when you get out in front of it, you'll have 10 years of runway to just kind of mass produce and just hit that target over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's neat. I can obviously see that you've done a lot of your homework. You've been reading, but you know, just everything you've told me is kind of a testament to your network as well. I mean, you talking about your friend who's basically Rain Man, he's regurgitating all these things and kind of keeping you in the know. It shows how important your network can be.
Yeah. And one of the things, networking is everything for me. I think my Rolodex is, I'll put it up against anybody's, but what I've also done is and I've said this on 2 podcasts today, and it's something I'm going to harp on now. I think the in-person meeting is underrated. Like I have flown to meetups in Arizona and Detroit. You know, there was 100 people at one and 50 at the other. I have met 2 business partners at those meetings and got 3 clients. Like, and I'm from Texas, but here's what's more fun. They're going, what the hell are you doing up here from Texas for a Wednesday meetup? And I'm like, hey man, I'm just crazy enough to come up here. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like my mentor, he said, look, I got 10 minutes. He goes, I got 10 minutes. I said, boom, I'm on a plane. I flew all the way to Sacramento, met him for 10 minutes. We met for an hour and a half. Like now he's one of my best friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to be willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. And you have to understand that relationships drive this business. It is built in stone that you can get more done with honey and people that like you than you can the other way around. And understand that regardless of what happens, you make sure that you stand out. I'll tell you a quick story, true story. There's a guy, a very big investor. I tried to get a meeting with him for like 6 months. He kept blowing me off. Hey man, I'm busy. I can't. I said, okay, enough. I bought a plane ticket. I sent him his picture and I said, I'm coming on this day. Deal with it. I'll see you there. He said, fine, I'll meet you at the gym at 5 a.m. So I knew that he loved Cadillacs. I knew he loved Cadillacs because I saw his Instagram. So what I did is I rented a 1966 Cadillac, suicide doors on 20s, and I picked him up in that bad boy.
Wow.
And that's what we drove around to see all his properties that day. And he said, why the hell did you do this? And I said, because when I walk out of this meeting today, you'll know that I was here. And he told that story to like 150 people.
Wow.
It's the truth. This is a very distracted world. There's a lot of options out there. So how are you going to stand out? How are you going to make sure that they remember you? Right? And something that I do, I hate to give this secret away. Damn it. Why are you getting me? What I do is I track. I'm just really good at it. I track little things that I like, but like off kilter stuff, not like stuff that you would normally gift somebody. And what we do is we randomly send gifts to people, like just weird stuff, like golf rounds or stuff. And you're basically just staying in the forefront. They know you. Like they did a study, right? A marketing guy did a study. As long as you stay in the front lobe of people's eye every 14 days, they'll consider you. So it's like you have to like just keep, and it's like, you know what's funny about my podcast? I can't tell you. I don't know how many people listen. I'm not going to look at it. But you know what people say? It's not that, oh, I listened to every podcast. It was amazing. You know what they say? The consistency that you put out a podcast is quite great. So understand that everybody's not going to hear everything you say, but they're watching. Everybody's watching. And so if you just stay in that mode and you make sure that you're hitting it every time, I think you're going to come out ahead more than you would the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it's interesting kind of the little paradigm shift we're having. You know, before Corona, maybe people weren't so active in Facebook groups. Now, over the past few months, we've had a lot of people kind of almost kind of hiding behind a picture on Facebook or a picture online, that we're forgetting that, hey, you know, to get deals done or to, you know, you got to meet with people in person sometimes.
You do. I told this story earlier today, and it was one of the best things I've ever watched in my entire life. And I don't even know where I saw it. It might have been 60 Minutes. But the guy, Paul Mitchell, the dude that owns Paul Mitchell and Patron, he's run a company for 46 years. He doesn't have an email, and he doesn't have a cell phone. And he runs $2 billion companies. And he said that he's never, and I mean never, had a meeting over the phone, ever. And granted, he has a private jet, but he flies to these meetings and he meets them in person because he believes that the personal interaction, catching somebody's tone, how they're looking, stuff like that, he can cut off a lot of BS, right? And people don't get their feelings hurt in an email or something. I'm not saying you can run your business like that, but there's points to be taken from that, because in his 38 years of whatever, he's only had 3 people leave his company. That's it. It's amazing. That doesn't happen these days. Like, and so I think, if anything, now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm really going to get behind this message. I think that we're reverting back to a little bit of old schoolness, you know, getting business done the right way, you know, and you still have to dot your T's and cross your I's, but understand that we as society are more distracted and more, the options are more available than they've ever been available. So how are you going to stand out from Frank, Tom, Bill, and Ted if you're a lender, a builder, and an investor, so on and so on? And what I would suggest from a builder point of view is have something that is your signature. I mean, or something like, I'll give them a little tip. You can take my little thing, whatever. I'll give it away. What I was going to do when I build stuff is I was going to give a Peloton with the house. And it's like, what is it? $2,000? And the wife walks in and the wife goes, I'm done. I don't even need to see the house. I got a Peloton. And like, boom, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to really step up here, you know, because they're building, and Texas is growing like crazy. And how are you going to stick out? I mean, you know, apartments are doing that with their amenity areas and stuff like that. And they're really getting competitive with the amenities. I mean, I've seen some stuff, you know, in Dallas or like Austin, and you're like, damn, this is like better than like anything I've ever seen before. But they're, you know, dog wash station, shuffleboard table, business area. You know, these are the things that we're going to need moving forward, that people are going to want. Not only want, they're going to request it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen, you know, even at just a kind of middle of the road apartment complex, they'll have tennis courts, they'll have basketball courts, racquetball, squash, all these different things that, you know, I don't remember seeing these years ago, you know?
No, and I think what's exciting about investing is that regardless of what's happening to you now, right, that there's going to be massive opportunities on the other side of this to build, to buy, to flip, to all do all these things. But it all starts with the right mindset. It all starts with the right mindset. Regardless, dude, I could tell you stories on stories of guys I know that were making $100K a month and lost it all in 08. Lost it all. Was an Uber driver. Uber driver with 3 kids. Talk about embarrassing. Was making $100K a month. And guess what? He's worth $30 million now. Like, when you show up every day with optimism and the right mindset, I guarantee you that the rest of the stuff will figure itself out, because investing is nothing but nuts and bolts and situations and strategies. So everybody can do it, but if you walk in with a proper relationship and you walk in with a proper mindset, then you can step above your competition and you can just crush it. And I think something that I can impart from my years of entrepreneurships and many failures is don't scale before you have to. Make the business scale you. Don't do it the other way around. Don't try to be bigger than you are. Just be who you are and call it a day. And by doing that, you're going to move the business properly with the right foundation set underneath it to explode when the opportunities do come, which are coming hard and fast.
Absolutely. You know, I know for some people that mindset, obviously it's crucial, it's key, but it's also tough. I mean, you know, you have people who'll say something like, you don't know me, you don't know my childhood, you don't know the
Okay. You want to do that? I'll go that route for everybody that would say that to me. I was a meth addict and I slept in a closet for 3 months. I was homeless. I was an alcoholic for 20 years. I lost 26K last year on a failed business. I got divorced 3 months ago. What you got? What you got, guys? I mean, at the end of the day, dude, we all have our choices. And I get it, man. Shit gets rough out there. I've been beat up. I just got destroyed on Monday with some bad news. But what am I going to do? What's the option? Give up? Like, you know, at the end of the day, dude, we all have a choice. I don't do excuses and I don't want to hear complaining. So make sure that regardless of how you feel, you surround yourself with the proper people to lift you up and support you with positive thoughts. Because when you are surrounded with a negative group, it will destroy your mindset and your confidence. It doesn't exist.
You know, that's especially tough. You know, some people don't have that support group. Sometimes they're only an army of one. Maybe they had those previous friends from growing up. You had those tight-knit connections. You know, over time, people change, circumstances change. You know, what do you do?
It's rough. You know, the suggestion, what I would say is that you lean into yourself. I mean, you lean into self-love and positiveness. And then I would set a goal of, you know, meeting one new person, right? One new person that can change the world. I don't care if it's Betty at the bookstore. It doesn't matter. Maybe she's a good person. But like, understand that like, they're just your family. They're just your friends. They don't have to control your thoughts. They don't have to, you know, and if you are in a bad situation, because I was there, you know, you're basically, you're just making a choice that you're gonna try and you're gonna move forward better. That's it. You know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's it. And one of the books I would suggest, Atomic Habits, game changer. Basically, to sum up the book, you have to read it, but you're trying to get 1% better every day. If you get 1% better every day, that works up to be this big thing, and it becomes this one big thing, right? And that's what you want to do. And you can't win it all in one day. And so, you know, if you put down that sip out, you know, maybe you don't drink on Monday and you take a break, or maybe you like go work out, right? I personally believe I've lost like 47, 50 pounds since I stopped drinking. But what I'm saying is health, meaning working out, is the quickest way to change your mindset. It's the quickest way. And it's the quickest way that you can win. And you can dive into that. And that could be walking 20 minutes a day. That could be walking 10 minutes a day. It doesn't even matter. But you're choosing to make a shift in that area, and that is the catalyst to kind of flip the switch.
Absolutely. You know, I know it can be a little tough for some people. You're starting from square one. Maybe you're holding a few more pounds than you wish you could have. Maybe you don't like what you see in the mirror. Even taking that first step can be hard for people. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, and that's what you do. And I think that, you know, if you need an ass kicking, just give me a call. Aaron will give you my number. But more importantly, hey, look, everybody, dude, I got a coaching client who just loves me to yell at him. Like, that's what he loves. And I'm like, so I'll just send him texts, like angry texts. And he's like, I love it. And I'm like, and then I have people I have to be like soft with, right? And so it's just one of those things, right? You don't know. Everybody's different. But at the end of the day, what I try to live by is something super simple. There's got to be more. There's got to be more love. There's got to be more nature. There's got to be more real estate. There's got to be more this. There's got to be more everything. And so if you're thinking there's not enough, there is, right? And it wasn't until I had the space allowed to me with my ex-business partners who didn't drink that I allowed myself to stop drinking so much, because that was the first time that I realized that it was acceptable to not drink. You know, I came from the restaurant business. It's what we do. It's what we do. We get off work, we get fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
But like these guys were successful. They were good looking. And we like lived in San Diego, and they were like, we don't drink. And I'm like, what? That's a thing?
Yeah.
But here's what's crazy. Once you start doing that, you realize, oh my God, there's a lot. This is, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. And I only follow this stuff because I worked in the hospitality business. This is a trend. Like, this is a trend. If you talk to a lot of big time CEOs, they don't drink anymore. Like, it's just one of those things. It's not a good, it doesn't jive with trying to like push forward head on. They smoke marijuana. I don't give a fuck what you do. I really don't, dude. Smoke weed. I don't care. But what I'm saying is, like, understand that if it's not serving you, to walk away from it. Because you know when you look in the mirror, like, dude, here's the deal. I could probably drink again, but what's the point? Like, it just doesn't serve me. I'm Irish. I'm angry as shit, and I pass out. Like, what's the point? Like, it doesn't do anything for me. You know, I smoke a little weed when I need to calm down. It's great. Like, that's good for me, and that works. And I wake up the next day, and I don't feel anything. But what I'm driving home is that, everybody knows. Look in the mirror. You know that if it's, dude, you would think that I would wake up after 20 years and be like, dude, this is not great. Like, this is 6 years, kind of been a little rough. But it takes some of those rock bottom moments to kind of flip the switch, right? But if you're in a bad relationship, or you're in a bad job or anything, there's never been a better time to make the shift. There's never been. The society has wiped the slate clean, and you can just go, okay, we're gonna start anew. So, if you need a boost, or you need help, or you need a talking to get kickstarted, all you got to do is reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'd be happy to jump on a call with you. Anybody that needs it, because I just care about seeing people better, and I see about people being happy. That's all that really matters, because it's rough, man. It's rough out there, and it's rough because you keep asking me like basically the same question. I'm trying to get into it. Like, it's rough, man. It's fucking rough, dude. And I'm almost getting emotional. You feel like there's no way out. And I'm here to fucking tell you there is. I'm so damn happy. I'm 38. I look like I'm 29. Like, life's good. I get fucking kicked in the nuts probably once every 2 weeks with some, not great stuff. It's entrepreneurship. It's what it is. You're getting beat up, but I'm doing it on my accord, and I'm doing it the way I want to. And I'm not high on drugs. I'm high on life. And I'm trying to get across to everybody that there is a better point. There's something better than where you're at. And I promise you it's closer than you think. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. But, what's tough about alcohol is that it's ingrained in our culture. You go to a social event, what do you see in someone's left hand? You see a drink. It's almost like it's kind of a little crutch that people use. And I never really thought about this until last year. Or probably the past 12 months of my life has been the least I've ever drank. I was completely sober for 6 months, all of last year. And people would ask me, what's going on with you? Why are you not drinking? And I basically told them, I said, hey, I wouldn't take a sip of alcohol until I accomplished something I was proud of. And that was kind of my little mantra. I don't really see it being a big part of my life, but it's just kind of interesting how people will ask you those questions, because not drinking in a social setting is almost kind of taboo.
I'll give you two scenarios. One, I was in Nashville. I asked for a non-alcoholic beer. You might as well thought I said I was going to stick up the place. She gave me the nastiest fucking look I've ever seen. And my buddy looks at me, he goes, "What the F was that?" And I go, "I don't know." And the manager came over really quick, and she's like, "I'm super sorry. Dude, it's like I'm some leopard or something."
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you this, and I believe this, and I'll get fucking angry. Okay, if we were in a meeting, and I put an 8-ball of cocaine on the table, and I snorted it all, everybody goes, "Oh, dude, this guy's out of control. He's a fucking loose cannon. Look at this crazy SOB." And Frank, next to me, knocked out a case of beer every day for 8 years. They go, "Oh, Frank just likes to drink his beer and watch football." Because in society, we have accepted alcohol as it's just, this is what people do, right? And that's not the case, man. It's not the case. That shit is dangerous. But here's what's scary. I romanticize about whiskey and wine. I sold it for 20 years. Dude, if you can control your alcohol, more power to you. But the problem is there's a lot of people that can't. And they're telling themselves that it's just, this is what it is, man. This is the way the world is. I watch football on Sunday and I knock out 36 beers. It's just normal. That's what people do. No, dude, it's not what people do. You know what I'm saying? But here's what's crazy about not drinking. And this is what's funny. And I think you'll get this of all people now that you told me that story. It has nothing to do with not drinking alcohol. That's the easy part. You want to know what the hard part is? Hanging out with friends who only know you as Drunk Austin. Yeah. Our family members are going on vacations and not drinking. I really didn't think I was over not drinking until I went to Costa Rica for 10 days and didn't drink. Dude, I got on that plane and I was like, holy shit, dude, you crushed it. You didn't drink the whole time. Like, you can actually go on vacation and not drink. That was like the defining moment for me. Like, people don't think about that stuff. Like, you know, your cousins or your brothers or your best friends. There's my friend, one of my best friends. He doesn't even know how to deal with me right now. He's like, who is this person? I don't even understand. Yeah. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. And so people don't see that stuff. They don't see when I get the dirty looks because I don't drink. They don't see that. That stuff is, but what that is I'm so confident in who I am and what I am as a person. That shit doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. And it's because I love myself, right? And you love yourself so much that you're not going to be pushed against pressure, right? And you're not going to do these things because it's somebody else. So, dude, I'm proud of you. I think it's amazing. I'm super proud of that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it's definitely kind of hard coming out of the gate and then telling people this, and, you know, kind of how you mentioned about that. You kind of had a persona. You weren't just known as Austin Linney. You were known as Drunk Austin. You know, the Austin we're getting right now, the real Austin, is far different from, you know, maybe one who adopted that, you know, alcohol persona.
No, for sure. And I think you have to honor him. I think you have to put him in a bag, and I think you have to lock it up and say that part of your life is over. Okay, let's move on with our day. And that's exciting. I mean, because as society, and I think as people in general, I think change is hard. But what people need to understand is that the only constant in this world is change.
Yep.
Super simple.
Absolutely. But, you know, change is scary. A lot of people don't like it, especially, you know, if you're kind of ingrained in that alcohol culture. Your social life is around alcohol. Your male friends around alcohol. The women you're around are also drinking alcohol. Everything, you know. And then when you cut the common denominator out, a lot of people feel like they're not really left with anything.
Mm-hmm. Hey, bro, it's tough, man. It's super tough. But I've got to a point now where I don't even think about it. You know, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the first, you know, like it's tough, man. There really is no other way around it. But I think if you surround yourself with the right support group, I think if you understand what you need as a person, and you lean into those things, I think that's all that matters. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. And you know, I have a bad attitude sometimes. Shit happens. You know, I can't do anything. You know, I can be better. That's what I'm working on. But at the end of the day, you know, I'll take being obsessed about Ironmans than being obsessed about drinking. You know, some guy said something to me today. It's super important. I thought it was great. He said he read that just be careful with the 5 things you're addicted to. That's all. He said it doesn't mean that you're not going to be addicted. Just make sure that your addictions are positive.
Absolutely. You know, I think I was listening to a little clip by Russell Brand. He kind of talks a bit about addiction. And, you know, when you hear the word addiction, it sounds like it's something very severe, which, you know, obviously it can be. But a lot of times you don't really think about kind of the little benign addictions, like maybe checking your phone too often, maybe living to please someone else, maybe, you know, seeking that external validation from something or someone.
Yeah, I mean that's, dude. I tell everybody when the pandemic happened, dude, people think that drugs, alcohol, and porn are the vices of America. Horseshit. You want to know what the vices of America is? Working. Working. We use work to distract us from dealing with the marriage. We use work from distracting us to be with our kids. We use Netflix. We use all these things to not fix the problems that we know are the problem. And it sucks because every day that you're not living the best life and you're not truly happy is a day that you are wasting away. And that's why I'm so hard on people that are close to me, my clients, because I want to make sure that when they wake up every day, there's a smile on their face and they're doing exactly what they wanted to do. And that is removed of distractions. It's removed of, dude, I have to be on Instagram for my job. It's just what for my brand, I have to be. But what I'm teaching myself is there's time to get on, there's time to not get on, instead of being on all day, because it's not going to do anything for you. And like, how are you moving your business forward? Are you moving yourself away from that? Or are you just living in that world? And I think we're only going to get more distracted. We're only going to get more things thrown at us, but you get to choose what those distractions are. And I would hope that those distractions would be your kids. I would hope those distractions would be your loved ones. I hope that you would want to take your wife out to a romantic dinner and get off the effing phone or turn off Netflix and be outside or something like that. And that's the addictions that I want to champion moving forward in this world.
Absolutely. You know, you kind of reiterated it another time about the schedule, having that time for your kids, your husband, your wife, you know, having that leisure time. What does Austin Linney's schedule look like on a daily basis? How do you kind of keep yourself organized?
I tell you what I did. Game changer. Thank God. AAA Adams, I love you so much. I'll say it on every podcast I'm on. He saw my schedule and he goes, nah, this is terrible. Don't do this. So what I did, because I do a couple different things, is I have one day is designated for one thing. So like I just do coaching on Tuesday. I just do podcasts on Wednesday. And what that allows me to do, and by the way, I do not schedule anything on Friday. Friday is a free day for me to work, play golf, or just if I want to work, that's great, but I want to leave it open for flexibility, right? And that's very important to me. Monday is kind of a catch-up day. You're doing whatever. But what I found, like the other day I was in Sedona and I did 7 podcasts on Wednesday and I wasn't even tired because that was what I was doing all day. I was already in that mode. You're just in that mode. And so that has really changed my life. I mean, it is so great. And more importantly, it allows me to travel and know exactly when I have to be like in that area or Wi-Fi or something like that. And it's really changed my life because I was doing podcasts on Monday, Tuesday, and it cleared everything up.
It almost sounds like kind of being in a flow state, you know?
It does, exactly. But for me, I try to get up at 4:30 to 5:30 every morning. I work out first thing in the morning. I was doing cold showers. I need to get back on that. We're trying to get back into the meditating for sure. I'm not perfect. You know, I was reading, I want to say that David Osborne wrote that book with Hal Elrod, and he said that he only does Miracle Morning like 112 days out of the year.
Is that right?
Yeah. But it's like, but that's okay. Like, at least he has the routine that if something gets out of whack, he can slide back into it, right? And I think that's, you know, what you're doing is you're creating routines and systems within you that allows you to operate at your highest level. And I think that's all that matters. You can't beat yourself up for stuff like that. You know, you want to be better, but you can't be perfect all the time. Life happens, kids happen. That's just where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easy to kind of let the day get away from you. Kind of how I mentioned, you wake up, you check Facebook, you're checking your email, you're kind of babysitting it. And then, maybe it hits 12 noon and you kind of realize, what did I do that was of substance,
No, for sure. And I think moving forward, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to operate my day on a 9 to 3 every day. And if I can't get everything done in that day, then I need to optimize my day better. And I think you're just allowing yourself that freedom to kind of, move and kind of allow stuff to slide in. One of the things that I got from my mentor is I don't take same day meetings. Like I don't take them because that's just, you're throwing a wrench in your day. Right. And it's just like, hey, well, we can handle it tomorrow or something like that. And you're just allowing yourself that freedom to kind of stick in what you got going on that day. Right. And just kind of be focused on that. I think that's super important.
But I mean, on the other foot, like for example, let's say you take a call at 12 noon and someone, let's say that you have a high probability of maybe converting this lead, getting that deal under contract. If you take that call,
if you're in a sales role, it's a different story. I mean, you especially if you're working on commission.
That can be true.
Yeah. But that, but all these things, everything I'm saying is just taken with, you operate on what makes sense for your life. I can only talk on what works for mine. That's a simple. No, but here's the deal. Nobody travels like I travel. Like I'm literally I just realized that I was gone for 80 days and out of 80 days I was home for 5. So my schedule is way different than somebody else's, right? And so just make sure that you're doing what works for your business and your job and your family, and that's all that matters. And you can take a little bit from Miracle Morning, you can take a little bit from this, and kind of just plug in what you want to do.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to strike that happy medium because you see guys like Tim Ferriss. A lot of people interpret that literally and elect to work less hours out of the week. And then a lot of people on the other end of the spectrum will subscribe to the Gary V hustling till your eyes are bloodshot, working 16 hours a day,
Yeah. You just do what works for you, man. That's all you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for you? What big projects do you have?
I've released 2 courses online about getting out of your own way, getting over alcoholism, getting over drug addiction, stuff like that. So we got those going on that I'm focused on right now. The coaching clients for sure. And then we're looking to start looking into building some fourplexes and stuff like that. For me personally, the kind of investing that I like to do is a lot more passive. So I am looking to become my own bank and then lend out to investors. That's kind of the game I'm trying to play right now, because it just allows me the freedom to travel and not really be focused on a project by project basis.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You made an interesting point earlier in the podcast, kind of shedding some light on, kind of understanding the way that money operates and what it can do for you.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I don't want to worry if the plumber didn't show up. I'm probably in a forest somewhere, on a beach somewhere. I don't want to be worried about that. So by taking that off my plate, I'm not consuming myself with that bandwidth. We'll let somebody else worry about that. And so that is the draw to me on being my own bank.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of perks in that. I mean, especially, everyone has ideas. It's easy to say, hey, I'm going to rehab this house. I'm going to build this house. But a lot of times people don't really understand the intricacies of, how funding works, maybe those construction draws, how kind of your average timetable, how long it'll take, how the money, what you do with your money.
No, for sure. I mean, you have to cover all your bases. You have to get with somebody that is knowledgeable on that, and then just make sure that you ask the right questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Austin, is there anything that, you haven't covered that you'd like to really hit home?
No, man, I just really appreciate you having me on, man. And I just, anytime I can share what's going on in my crazy world, and if I can help anybody, if one person gets something from this, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. I know you mentioned being on Facebook, being on Instagram. Where can we find you?
So the podcast is called Construct Your Life. You can find it on Instagram. You can find it on Facebook. My name is Austin Linney, Linney. You can message me on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you want. Happy to respond, happy to catch up. And you can find me. I'm all over all those platforms.
Absolutely, Austin. I really enjoyed that one. You brought a lot of value to the table. You shed some light on some really interesting topics, and man, the future's bright.
You got it, my man. I appreciate it. If you need anything, make sure you reach out to me, and I'll see you soon, my brother.
Will do. Thanks a lot, Austin. Talk soon.
You got it. See you, bud.